members of the bench, the tea gamers. Welcome to another episode of The Great Awakening, and I am your host, Mrs. Independent, aka I am not a lawyer. So let's get into the intricacies of MUZI choosing Advocate MNISI Mvula instead of a newbie who was going to actually confuse us even more. So here I have analysis from Elton Hart and Sihle Zigalala concerning the choice of MUZI's be accused number one on appointing Advocate MNISI Mvula to be his legal representative. Let's take a listen and tell me what you think on the comment section below.
Okay, so let's talk about MUZI Sibiya. Should he consider appointing one of the existing defense lawyers already working on the case, or would you advocate that he brings in maybe a new lawyer? Probably that would be beneficial for him in this case.
I would say that he can take one of them, but if I was MUZI Sibiya, I would have appointed a new legal practitioner. That new legal practitioner would be given all the transcripts, and if there's questions that that new legal practitioner feels that was not canvassed with a specific witness that the state has put on the stand, he can ask that that specific witnesses be recalled so that they can actually cross-examine them. So I would think you should go for a new practitioner. That would give him a better chance, because there is things that I was of the view that some of the practitioners, maybe due to not having the necessary information available, could not canvass these points with some of the witnesses. But now that it's there, he can now, or it can now be canvassed with these witnesses. And I would suggest he goes that way, but he can also appoint one of the current guys in the interest of not delaying the thing. But he also needs to check what is in my best interest to put up my best defense. And I would opt to have a new practitioner come on board so that he has that transcripts and that second bite at the cherry, if one uses that word loosely.
Here I feel that Elton Hart is like 100% correct, but we knew that the legal aid made it clear that MUZI Sibiya should choose from this pool, or this pond, as Sandy said, from this pool of advocates who are already on the case. So his choices were limited, but I'm not even complaining, because I am happy with his choice. And I think as long as there's no conflict of interest, as it was said, I'm happy with his choice, and hopefully MNISI will assist to the best of his ability. So let's take a listen to another analyst.
Makes sense for him to brief one of the other attorneys who's already on record for one of the other accused, given that they would be familiar with everything that has thus far been placed on record and all the evidence that has been led thus far, and that would hopefully not cause any further delays in the matter. The further difficulty with that is, of course, that there can be no conflict of interest. So if his version differs from the accused person whose legal representative he decides to appoint, then that could obviously pose some difficulties. An example of this could be where he could place blame on one of the other accused, or one of the other accused places blame on him. That would obviously necessitate a different attorney being briefed, because he would not be able to have the same attorney representing him in that instance. So one would have...
Yeah, his choice, if it's made in terms of not wanting to cause any further delays, we do understand as well, because this case is messing up with our brains, with our hair color, with our smiles and everything, So yeah, the shorter it becomes, the better. We do understand in that manner it's okay, just to avoid this case going further and further. And yeah, Now let's take a listen to Sihle Zigalala's analysis on MUZI's choice, if it's immaterial or material right now.
Now for this discussion is legal analyst Mpumelelo Zigalala. Mr. Zigalala, thank you so much for your time and allowing us to have an analysis on this issue. So lawyer accused number 3 is now going to be representing accused number 1. That's Mr. Charles MNISI. Was this the most likely of all 4 legal representatives to take on accused number 1, or is it just immaterial?
Good afternoon to you, Minister. Good afternoon to your viewers. I think at this stage it's immaterial. It's up to the person or the accused in this case to say who amongst the individuals that are available that can be able to represent me better. Probably he has been able to see how they go in court, how they're able to conduct the proceedings. And I think he must have felt comfortable that Advocate MNISI is the appropriate individual to take it forward. So at the end of the day, it was simply a client saying that I want this particular service provider to service me. I know that if I'm represented by this person, the defense that I want to put through to this court is going to be understood and it's going to be in a manner in which I think we should be able to exonerate. So I think it's those instances in which Advocate MNISI was chosen.
And of course, choosing a defense lawyer who is currently on the case is quite beneficial for the court and for the case in terms of delays that could have happened if someone external was then brought on.
Yeah, definitely. If someone external has been brought on, they would have had to read the case from the inception up until now. Then we would have maybe wanted to bring in or to call back other witnesses to say, I wasn't there to do cross-examination, so let me start afresh. So certainly we would have dragged the case along. But I think in this case, certain accolades must be given to the judge to say he is really playing his role in terms of protecting and promoting the interest of all the parties that are in court. Looking after the prosecution to say, I want to enable to be able to prosecute these individuals in a proper manner. Also looking at the accused to say to you, there are certain rights that are put to you. I want to make sure that I'm able to protect your rights. In this case, the righteous per section 35.3d of saying that the trial must be able to start and end within a reasonable amount of time. So it was the elimination of any disturbances which was observed by the court. And there is 33.3f that says a person has a right to legal representation, which in this case, with the introduction of Advocate MNISI, that's exactly what they were trying to fulfill, to say it is your right to have someone who better understand the proceedings, the procedures and the rules and certain legislation which is applicable. Let the particular individual be able to assist. So the judge was simply saying, I want to make sure that the trial is able to start and end within the shortest amount of time, and I'm going to move forward and be proactive and make sure that the issue of legal representation is done earlier on so that we're able to proceed with this matter.
So before the announcement of Advocate Charles MNISI as the defense attorney for accused number 1, there were discussions of a possibility of a conflict of interest. And maybe just from a legal standpoint, if you could just explain to us in what situations would a conflict of interest arise? And then does this mean him then taking on accused number 1 means that there isn't any conflict of interest that could exist between accused number 1 and accused number 3 in terms of their statements or their placement within the case?
Well, it's, at this time, it's only the defense of legal reps that will have a bit of a preview as to the potential conflict of interest that would arise, because they are the ones that are carrying the instructions, they are the ones that have been briefed by their various clients to say, this is my version of events. And if you're in your version of events, you then sort of indirectly or directly implicate the one of the other co-accused. That means that you as a legal representative will have to ask yourself this question: who am I going to represent and who am I going to throw under the bus between the two? If you have to answer that particular question, then definitely there's a conflict which is there. And you need someone who's going to be independent, will be able to apply their mind independently to the facts and to the case, and be able to represent the client in a proper manner. So I think in this case, after they've confirmed that they've sat together, they've had the brief and detailed consultation, Advocate MNISI knows very well as to what his current client has said to him, and he knows very well the defense that accused number 1 is going to say to him. And if there's no conflict between the two, then he can continue. But if there is conflict, I think it would have been identified by now, and they would have said, please go and look for somebody else, because I will not be able to do a proper job of defending your legal interest if at one point or another I may implicate you either directly or indirectly.
Are we likely to see a close of this case by the end of 2025?
Yes, we are likely, and even my prediction is maybe by June of 2025 we have seen an end to this case, with a few conditions. One is that there must be no other delays which are going to be there, no other recording of witnesses that have been called earlier, and if you estimate that maybe one accused will stay in the court for plus minus a week, then within maybe a month and a half we should be done and dusted, and then we'll be able to hear the closing arguments from the parties and the various representation that will come from the liquor reps. So it is highly likely that the match will be done and dusted within 2025 or the earlier part of 2025 if there are no other delays that are going to crop up.
Well, in terms of conflict of interest that they're talking about, if I remember well, these people were represented by one lawyer, like accused 1 to 4. They were represented by D4 and then TT, and then the divorce came, and then Advocate Ramsibile took accused 1 and 2, and MNISI took accused 3. Okay, until the next video, remember to subscribe, like, and share the video. Thank you so much. Bye.